Welcome to the second part of the video about paints. My palette setup. I organize my palette with two temperatures of each hue, placing cool colors first, followed by warm. I also separate my fast-drying earth tones from my high chroma, slow-drying colors, which makes it easier to manage replacement. My earth tones are refreshed every 2 days, while most other colors last around 10 days. Here's my setup. The first color on my palette is titanium white. Though discovered in the 18th century, it wasn't available to artists until 1920s. It is safe, non-toxic alternative to zinc white or lead white, offering superior opacity, brightness, and a cool temperature. Today, it's the most widely used white pigment. The second white on my palette is lead white, also known as flake white or Kremnitz white. Used for over 2,000 years, dating back to ancient Greece, it has a warmer temperature and beautiful buttery texture. It dries quickly, is more transparent than titanium white, and has a low tinting strength, making it ideal for mixing without overpowering colors. If you need a strong shift into lighter values, titanium white is a better choice. However, lead white is highly toxic, and you have to be careful when using it. Lead poisoning, known as a painter's disease, was once widespread, and some historians believed painters like Caravaggio and Goya may have suffered from it. However, lead was used in plumbing, ceramics, printing, ammunition, and even to sweeten or bleach out food. So it's difficult to blame the paint alone. Next on my palette are three variations of yellow: cadmium yellow lemon, cool yellow; cadmium yellow deep, warm yellow; and Indian yellow, warm yellow. Cadmium pigments are a byproduct of zinc and copper mining. Adjusting their sulfide content changes the color from yellow to orange to red. Invented in the 19th century, cadmium colors are known for their brilliance, strong tinting power, high light fastness, and opacity and durability. They were especially loved by Impressionists, including Van Gogh. The downside, they are expensive, up to $65 for a 30-millimeter tube. I highly recommend getting cadmiums from a high-quality brands like Old Holland or Michael Harding, as the pigment saturation is what gives them their brilliance. Cheaper brands may mimic the color but lack the same depth and strength. Indian yellow is an excellent glazing color, perfect for warming up other hues without alternating their values. Historically, it had a controversial origin. Produced in India from the urine of cows fed exclusively on mango leaves. This practice was banned due to animal cruelty, and modern versions are now synthetically made. Indian yellow has a great tinting power, transparency, and light fastness. For reds, I use two variations. First, alizarin crimson cool red and cadmium red light warm red. Alizarin crimson was originally a dye pigment derived from a plant used as far back as ancient Persia and Egypt. The natural version had a poor light fastness and faded quickly. In 1868, a synthetic version was created, offering a rich, transparent red with a slightly blue bias, ideal for mixing purples. If you buy a tube, make sure it says alizarin crimson permanent, as traditional alizarin is still prone to fading. Cadmium red light, like other cadmium pigments, has unmatched brilliance, strength, opacity, and durability. For blues, I have phthalo blue as a cool blue and ultramarine blue as a warm blue. Phthalo blue is a synthetic pigment discovered in the 1930s. It is highly intense, has excellent light fastness, strong tinting power, and a greenish undertone. While safe to use, it will stain your fingers and clothes. Ultramarine blue, on the other hand, leans towards a warm red undertone, making it great for mixing purples. Its history is a fascinating one. Natural ultramarine comes from the rare semi-precious stone lapis lazuli, found only in Afghanistan. During the Renaissance, it was more expensive than the gold itself and was reserved for painting the robes of Virgin Mary and Christ in religious paintings. In 1305, early Renaissance painter Giotto used ultramarine to cover the entire ceiling of the Scrovegni chapel in Padua, adding only yellow stars. When the Pope saw it, he declared, "That must be what heaven looks like." Artists would charge their patrons in advance just to afford the pigments. Vermeer used ultramarine so extensively that some believe it led to his financial ruin, though I'd argue having 14 children had more to do with that. Today we use a synthetic version of ultramarine, invented in 1826 by French chemist Guillemette. It remains a beautiful, transparent, rich blue color, safe to use with a strong light fastness and with a medium tinting power. The only green on my palette is phthalo green, a synthetic pigment known for its extreme brilliance, transparency, and a strong tinting power. It leans towards a cool blue-greenish hue. It's non-toxic and highly resistant to fading. After my saturated colors, I lay out my earth tones in the same order of hues: yellow, red, and blue. First, yellow ochre, one of the oldest pigments known, dating back over 100,000 years, used in prehistorical cave paintings. It is derived from iron oxide minerals. It is semi-transparent, has a high light fastness, low tinting strength, and dries quickly, making it ideal for painting skin tones. The second is terra rosa, meaning red earth in Latin. This iron oxide and a clay pigment has been used since prehistorical times. It was popular for underpaintings and warming up flesh tones. It is semi-transparent, highly light-fast, has medium tinting power, dries quickly, and it's safe to use. Raw umber is a cool greenish-brown pigment from Umbria, Italy. It is fast-drying, non-toxic, semi-transparent, and I often use it as a base for my shadows. And lastly, transparent red oxide, a modern version of red iron oxide discovered in 20th century. It is richer, cleaner, and more transparent than traditional iron oxide, making it an excellent glazing color. It has a strong tinting power, high light fastness, and fast drying properties. This is one color I cannot live without. I don't have black on my palette. Instead, I mix my own black using transparent red oxide and either phthalo blue or ultramarine blue. This allows me to control the temperature of my black. By adding more blue, I cool off my black. Unlike ivory black, which tends to sink into the painting, my mix remains rich, dries faster, and retains its sheen and a dark value. My final thoughts: every artist must find a palette that suits their aesthetic, budget, and style. When learning to paint, Don't overwhelm yourself with too many colors. Start with a limited palette. Learn how each pigment behaves and gradually expand it as needed. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And if you enjoyed this video, please share it with others. Your support means so much to me. Thank you so much.